Welcome to the deep dive. We spend so much time and energy crafting these really detailed strategic sales plans. We think about the hiring, the training, compensation, all of it.
We do. Hours and hours go into the planning phase.
But there's this paradox, right? If you launch this complex strategy, but you don't have a solid way to measure the results, how do you even know if it worked, let alone figure out why you missed your targets?
That's exactly the crux of it. And that's why today we're diving into what many see as the final stage, but it's arguably also the first stage of the next cycle, evaluation.
So not just looking back.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
This isn't just, ticking a box. It's the feedback loop. It sets the foundation for everything that comes after the next plan, the next adjustments.
It reminds me of that philosopher Nietzsche who said something like, "It is only through evaluation that value exists." Kind of fitting for sales management, isn't it?
It really is. Perfectly captures it. Planning, doing the work implementation, and then evaluating. They aren't separate things you do.
They're linked.
Exactly. They have to operate in this continuous, interrelated way. Planning says, here's what we should do, sets the target. Evaluation comes along and shows, okay, here's what really happened.
And without that comparison.
The plan is just theory. Nice ideas on paper, maybe, but useless without knowing the reality.
Okay, so let's unpack the strategic value a bit more. If a company plans well, but their evaluation is weak, what are the big risks?
Well, you hit on it earlier. They basically fly blind on three critical questions. One, did our plan even work? Did it achieve the objective?
Seems fundamental.
It is. Two, if it did work or didn't, what was the actual degree of success or failure? Was it a near miss, a huge win? And three, why? What were the specific reasons behind that outcome? Without evaluation, you just don't know.
And the flip side is dangerous too, right? Evaluating without proper planning beforehand.
Oh, absolutely. That can be incredibly misleading. Like, imagine a sales rep who just absolutely crushes their quota. Looks amazing on the surface.
Yeah, a real star.
But maybe they did it by just farming their existing big accounts, hitting those high volume numbers.
While the actual company strategy for that quarter was maybe, I don't know, opening 10 new smaller accounts or doing missionary work for a new product line.
Precisely. So the rep's success is actually strategic failure because it didn't align with the planned goals. You have to set the standard first or the evaluation doesn't mean anything. It's just noise.
Got it. So evaluation plays this double role. It looks back at the period that just ended measuring performance against the standard.
Right.
And it looks forward, feeding directly into the next planning cycle, informing decisions on, say, training needs, comp plan tweaks, maybe even territory changes.
Exactly. It connects the past to the future.
So when we talk about the scope of this evaluation, what are the main buckets we need to look into for a full picture?
Generally, we're looking at three core areas. First, and this is our main focus today, is sales volume analysis, SVA. Basically, what did we sell, where, and who sold it?
Okay, the raw numbers.
Yep.
Yep.
Second, you've got marketing cost and profitability analysis, or MCA. This is crucial because volume alone doesn't tell you if you made money.
Right, the profit piece.
And third is individual salesperson performance. That gets into the human side, combining quantitative results with maybe behavioral factors, activities, things like that.
Let's stick with SVA for now and the process itself. You mentioned it's like detective work. There's often this three-stage framework, right? The what, why, and what now.
That's a great way to put it. It structures the whole thing. Stage one is just finding out what happened.
Compare actuals to budget. Find the variance.
Exactly. Get the facts down. With modern CRM and sales tech, honestly, this part is often the easiest. The data is usually there.
But stage two, find out why it happened. That sounds like where the real heavy lifting begins.
Oh, absolutely. This is easily the most difficult and, frankly, the most time-consuming part of evaluation.
Why is it so tough?
Well, let's take an example. Say you budgeted, I don't know, a 5% sales increase for product X, but the actual results show a 10% decline. Okay, you know you have a 15% negative variance. That's the what.
It's simple enough.
But the why? Was your forecast just way off? Did a competitor launch something better or cheaper? Did you drop the ball on marketing support? Did a key distributor switch allegiances?
Wow, okay. Lots of possibilities.
It requires digging into everything: activity reports, market intelligence, competitor actions, maybe even customer feedback. It shifts from just accounting to real strategic thinking.
Which then leads logically to stage three.
Right. Decide what to do about it. Once you think you understand the why, you can plan the next steps. How do we fix the problems? How do we, just as importantly, capitalize on the things that went better than expected? It's about resource allocation.
This need for digging into the why seems directly connected to a huge problem you often see: misdirected marketing effort. Companies spending effort where it doesn't pay off.
That's the perfect segue. This is where the famous, or maybe infamous, 80-20 principle comes roaring into view.
Ah, yes, Pareto's Law.
Exactly. The idea that roughly 80% of your results, sales, profits, whatever, often come from only 20% of your inputs, your products, your customers, your territories.
The exact numbers vary, I assume.
Oh, definitely. It might be 90-10 or 70-30. But the concept holds true almost universally. There's this inherent imbalance, this asymmetry in where value comes from, and most companies don't fully grasp it.
Which leads to resources being misplaced.
Massively misplaced. And this is where looking only at total figures can be so dangerous. It gives you that aha moment, or maybe you should be an oh no moment. The totals lie.
You have an example of this, right? The plastics manufacturer.
Yes, a classic one.
Yeah.
This company's total annual sales were up 12%. Management's feeling pretty good, right? Decent growth.
Sounds okay on the surface.
But then they started breaking it down by territory. And what they found was, well, shocking. Some territories were up 19%, fantastic. But others were down 3%.
Ouch. Okay, so uneven performance.
Worse than that. When they layered in the profitability analysis, the MCO we mentioned, the picture got really ugly. Those territories ranged from a healthy plus 14% profit margin all the way down to a terrifying negative 20%.
Minus 20%. So some territories were actively losing money hand over fist.
Exactly. And the overall 12% sales increase completely masked this disaster. If they'd only looked at the total, they'd be patting themselves on the back while the ship was taking on water in critical areas.
Wow. So why does this happen so often? Why the misplaced effort?
It usually boils down to two things: lack of knowledge and lack of standards. Management often just lacks the knowledge of this disproportionate spread. They might operate as if all customers or all products are equally valuable, which they clearly aren't. Right. And second, they lack reliable standards. What should performance look like in territory X? What should a specific marketing campaign yield relative to its cost? Without those benchmarks, those yardsticks, you can't really judge efficiency or identify the problem areas effectively.
Okay, so let's drill into the main tool used to combat this, to get that necessary knowledge. Sales volume analysis, SVA.
Right. SVA is essentially the detailed study of sales dollars or units broken down into meaningful segments: territory, product, customer type, sales channel, you name it.
But just looking at volume isn't enough. As the plastics example showed, you need context.
Precisely. Context is king. Take the hypothetical Colorado Ski Company example often used in textbooks. Their total sales volume shot up 80% over 10 years. Sounds amazing, right?
80%. Yeah, that sounds like a huge success.
When they compared their growth to the total industry growth over that same decade, they found their actual market share had declined by 25%.
Ouch. So they were growing, but the market was growing much faster. They were actually losing ground, relatively speaking.
Exactly. Running fast but falling behind. It shows the danger of looking at your own numbers in isolation. You need that external benchmark, that market potential.
Which leads to analyzing sales by territory against some kind of potential, like a market index, setting a par for each territory.
Yes. Define what success should look like based on objective potential. Then you compare actual sales to that potential. And that's where you find the variations that need attention.
And this comparison naturally brings up a key strategic idea: the soft spot principle.
Right. This is all about efficient management focus.
Mm-hmm.
The soft spot principle basically says you get the biggest bang for your buck, the largest potential gain, by focusing your attention and resources on the weakest segments of your operation.
Why the weakest? Wouldn't you want to build on strengths?
You do want to maintain strengths, but the potential for improvement for marginal returns is usually highest where performance is currently lowest relative to potential. Think about it. Squeezing an extra 2% out of a territory already performing at 120% of its goal is much harder and probably less impactful than lifting a territory from 70% of its goal up to 90%.
Makes sense. Applying leverage where it has the most effect.
Exactly. Look at the Colorado Ski Western Division again. Territory A was way under goal at $945,000 or 26% short. Territories B and C were doing great, well above par.
So the soft spot principle says the manager should focus their limited time and energy on figuring out territory A.
Absolutely. Diagnose the problems in A. Trying to micromanage territory C to get another tiny gain is likely an inefficient use of that manager's valuable time. Focus where the gap is biggest.
But even focusing on territory A might be too broad, right?
It often is. That's why the next level of analysis is crucial. Cross-classification.
Yeah.
You don't just look at territory A overall, you look at product performance within territory A.
Slicing the data differently.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So territory A is 26% under par overall. Big problem. But when they broke it down by product line within territory A, surprise.
What do they find?
Sales of skis in territory A were actually over goal by $81,000. Doing great.
So the entire massive shortfall in territory A wasn't across the board.
Not at all. It was almost entirely concentrated in two other product lines, pants and parkas. Each was short by around $500,000 in that territory alone.
Wow, that completely changes where the manager should focus, doesn't it?
Totally. Instead of a vague, fixed territory A mandate, the problem becomes laser-focused. Why are pants and parkas failing specifically in territory A while skis are succeeding? That's actionable intelligence. You know exactly where to investigate.
Okay, that's powerful. But we keep bumping up against this same limitation. We know volume of pants and parkas is low in territory A. But does that low volume matter if, say, parkas are a super low margin item anyway?
You've nailed the fundamental limitation of SVA used in isolation. Volume does not equal profit. It's entirely possible, even common, for a high-volume product to have a lower net profit contribution than a lower-volume product.
Because of differing costs.
Different costs of goods sold, different selling expenses, different levels of marketing support required, you name it. Product A might sell 20% more units than product B, but product B could easily be generating 10% more actual dollar profit.
So SVA is necessary, but insufficient. It points you in the right direction.
But it must, absolutely must, lead directly into marketing cost and profitability analysis, MCA. You have to layer the cost and profit data onto the volume data.
To truly understand the 80-20 rule in profit terms, not just sales volume.
Exactly. SVA tells you where the sales are happening.
Yep.
MCA tells you where the money is being made
Yep.
or lost. Combine them, and you get a true marketing profitability analysis.
Historically, wasn't MCA really hard and slow to do? Allocating costs seemed like a nightmare.
It was a major bottleneck. Accounting departments might take months to accurately allocate all those indirect costs down to specific products or territories. By the time management got the report, the situation might have changed completely. It was always reactive.
The technology has changed that game.
Dramatically. This is where Salesforce automation, SFA software, comes in, often as part of bigger customer relationship management or CRM systems. Think Oracle, Salesforce, those kinds of platforms.
How do they help with this SVMCA process?
Well, first, they make step one, getting the what happened data, almost instantaneous. All that transactional data is captured automatically. But more importantly, they allow for much easier and faster allocation of costs and integration with sales data.
So you can do that cross-classification, product by territory, and see the profit contribution almost in real time.
That's the goal. It transforms evaluation from a slow, backward-looking exercise into something potentially proactive and ongoing. You can spot problems and opportunities much faster.
Okay, sounds great in theory. But these systems rely on salespeople actually using them, right? Entering the data accurately and consistently. And reps often. Well, they don't love these systems.
That is the perennial challenge, the human element. You often face significant resistance from the sales team. They see it as big brother, as micromanagement.
Management just wants to track my every move.
Exactly that fear.
Yeah.
So the rollout is critical. Management has to clearly articulate how the SFA system will actually help the sales reps be more productive, sell more effectively, maybe reduce administrative burden. It can't just be positioned as a management oversight tool.
It involving them helps.
Crucial. Involving reps in the design, configuration, and rollout process gives them some ownership. Because ultimately, the system's value is garbage if the data going in isn't timely and accurate. User adoption is everything.
But when it works, it can be powerful. Like that Hitachi construction machinery example.
Right? They used SFA across a huge Salesforce, like 1,000 people. And not just for tracking sales, but for analyzing customer needs, spotting trends, allowing them to intervene proactively and shift their whole strategy towards being more customer-centric. Real strategic value.
Which brings us back to that inherent tension. How much detail is too much detail? This leads perfectly into that seal-right envelope company story.
Ah, yes, the clash between Rose Douglas, the sales manager, and Max Chernak, the new president. A classic scenario.
So Rose has this incredibly detailed SVA system, right? She knows instantly when item #2510, some specific heavy-duty envelope, sees sales drop significantly. She's deep in the weeds, managing by exception at a very granular level.
She lives and breathes that data. She believes if she manages all those little details, the big picture, the totals, will basically take care of themselves.
And then comes Max, the new president. He looks at her reports overflowing with item-level detail and basically says,
This is micromanagement. He wants to see the big picture overall sales, broad product line margins. He's overwhelmed by the detail Rose provides. He even challenges her, asking something like, how many items in this report actually require action? I'm afraid of the answer.
It's that classic forest versus trees problem. Rose is meticulously examining every leaf, while Max is worried she's missing the overall health of the forest.
Precisely. And there's no single right answer, is there? That's the ultimate strategic challenge for sales leadership. You need the detailed analysis, the SVA and MCA, to find those hidden problems, those soft spots, like Rose did with item #2510.
What?
But you also need the strategic wisdom, like Max is arguing for know which of those problems actually warrant significant management attention and resources. Not every single dip in sales for every single item justifies a major intervention.
You have to prioritize. You need the data to find the issue, but judgment to decide if it's worth tackling.
Exactly. Is the potential gain from fixing that specific soft spot worth the time and effort compared to other opportunities?
That really sums it up well. This whole deep dive really hammers home two key things for me. First, that unbreakable link between planning and evaluation. It's a continuous loop, feeding each other. Get one wrong, and the whole system suffers.
Absolutely fundamental.
And second, you have to fight against the misleading nature of those aggregate numbers. The 80-20 principle is real, and you need detailed analysis SVA layered with MCA to pierce through the fog and see where the real problems and profit opportunities lie. You got to dig past the totals.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Find the soft spots, understand their profit impact, and then act strategically.
But let's leave our listeners with that final provocative thought, circling back to Seal Right and the soft spot principle. Okay, so your detailed analysis flags a territory or a product line, like those parkas in Territory A, as a major soft spot way below potential.
You've found the problem, now what?
Exactly. How do you decide if that soft spot is actually worth the intense effort required to fix it? What criteria do you use beyond just how far below goal it is? Is it about market growth potential in that segment, competitive intensity, the cost to fix it?
Or is your limited managerial time sometimes better spent doubling down on an area that's already successful, trying to maximize gains there, rather than rescuing a potentially low-ceiling weak spot?
It's that constant resource allocation puzzle every sales leader faces. Finding the problem is step one. Deciding which problems are worth solving is maybe the harder part.
Definitely something to mull over as you think about your own evaluation processes. We'll be back soon for the next deep dive.